Hi everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a mobile veterinary technician business.
And you are listening to Endless Journeys, the Vet Tech Odyssey podcast. In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other veterinary technician business owners.
Hello, hi Michelle.
Good afternoon, Jen. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Where are you at right now?
Costa Rica. We're coming in from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Oh my gosh. Is it really hot there right now?
Oh,
Is it humid?
oh, it's so humid. You can
Yeah.
see my hair. Like
It's like
it's hot. Like
curly,
my skin.
like wavy curls.
Yes. Yes, it's hot. Like my face is red. I was applying SPF every 2 hours since we got yesterday's our first full day here, and I have been slathering myself in it, and I'm still red. Like, walking from here to this, like, local grocery store across the street, like, me and Alex are, like, sweating so bad, but it's
Oh,
so gorgeous, and it's so much of a nice needed, like, break from everything and to
yeah.
actually do a work trip without actually, like, having Alex's work, because every trip we've ever been on has been, me basically freeloading off Alex's work. And so, this is the first trip that we have taken where it's not like he was working all day and I just got to hang around town and shop and stuff, so, we're having a lot of fun so far. And then I think when we started planning this, I would say about 6 months ago, and then when me and you met, we're like, "We should do an episode on the importance of taking time off work and taking a vacation." And I think I remember I told you, like, "Yeah, we're planning on doing Costa Rica," and that's when me and you talked about doing one, like, a whole episode from Costa Rica, so that way we could show the importance of taking time off for yourself and taking care of yourself. Yeah, so that's why I'm in Costa Rica today with the hammock behind me that I almost fell out of this
Oh
morning.
my
I don't
gosh.
wanna operate these
Yeah.
things
I'm
yet.
not great with hammocks either. I always have trouble getting in and out of them.
Yes, right, especially if, like, I've had a few drinks, I'm like, "Oh, this thing is, like,
Yeah.
wavy, like, it's going back and forth, man."
Yeah.
And so, how are you? I haven't talked to you in like, I don't think we recorded in a couple weeks now, so how's things been over there in Jen's world?
Yeah, things are good. So you went to Costa Rica on Friday, and that's when I was saying we just went to Whitefish, Montana this past weekend. Every year for the past 3 years now, we've always done an annual Friendsgiving with our big group of friends, me and my husband, and we always try to go somewhere different every year. So this year we went to Whitefish, Montana. We always get like this giant Airbnb that has like 10 to 12 beds, and then like hot tub and like big kitchen. And then what we normally do is on Saturday, we cook, from morning till afternoon, and then we eat the big dinner. And so like our rule is that you cook when you get there, and then we all kind of like take turns making whatever we're going to make. And then, yeah, and then we feast. And then we always just have a really good time. Just, it's very chill. We're all very, very close. So it's so nice. Last year we went to McCall, Idaho. And then the year before that, we went to Leavenworth, Washington. So, yeah, it's just, we had a good time. It was very much needed to just relax. And it's such a different vibe than like going to family Thanksgiving. So, yeah, you just, it's such
Yeah.
a different vibe. Like, because those are your friends. Those are the people that you've chosen those people to spend your life with and to be around. And so, everyone just gets along um, and yeah, and we always have fun just cooking and listen to music, watch movies, we hot tub, drink, whenever we feel like it. And it's always nice because we're such a close group that, nobody feels like we need to entertain each other either. We just, it's just chill. People can go take a nap, or, people can leave and go do something else, or people can hot tub, or like people can play like a card game, and like it doesn't matter. We're all just chilling and having a good time.
Yeah. Can I like just be rude for 5 seconds and invite myself next year to your Thanksgiving?
No, it's not rude. I always say, like, anybody who would wanna come can come. Usually it's more of just, like, we just don't know, like, because we usually have, like, a normal group of people that come, but every year, we do try to expand it, and it's just more of, like, we have a number, and, it was really unfortunate. We There were 2 people that have come that, weren't able to come this year, so I had 2 extra spots. So I invited one of my coworkers and her husband, and so it was their first time this year. But yeah, like, I always say, like, whoever wants to come, they're more than welcome. They just gotta tell me. We always have a good time, and the more the merrier, always.
Yeah, I can so appreciate a Friendsgiving. With my job, I hear a lot of my clients talk about the holidays, and I hear so many of my clients who are like, fuck the holidays. I got to deal with my in laws. I got in law shit. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go grocery shopping. I don't want to bake that turkey. I don't want to have, I hear more of that than I do like, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. I feel like it's 70-30, and the 70% of more stressed, more anxious, more I don't want to deal with in-laws or my own family. Like one of my clients even said, it's not Thanksgiving until we start busting out the knives. Like that was one of my clients. I'm like, oh, okay. So when you tell me you got a Friendsgiving, I'm like, oh, that sounds so much better than the typical like family who are just there because they have to be there, not because they want to be there. And you're there because you want to be there with your friends. And I think that's just freaking amazing. Like, and I have such little family to where I can appreciate even the crazy families. Like, I can dig that. But to have a Friendsgiving just sounds so fun. And I hope you guys keep that up for the rest of your lives. If you got like your core group, I hope that all of you guys keep on doing it forever and ever and you stay friends. And then your kids join in, their kids join in, and then the families grow together. Like, that would be so ideal.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely said that this year. I was like, our really good friends, Michelle and Adam missed out this year. And I even said, I was like, we need to make sure next year that we figure out a way so that everybody can be there next year, because we definitely missed them this year. It wasn't the same without them, and so like that's what you need, and that's definitely the difference between all the Thanksgivings. I mean, I normally work on Thanksgiving, so even with my own family, there were a lot of times where I just wasn't even there because I was working. But I also felt like it wasn't really planned around me either. It was just kind of like figure it out and be there or don't be kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's different with the Friendsgiving. We definitely try to make sure that we're including everybody that we can and everybody that wants to be there. So, yeah, and now I don't spend Thanksgiving with my side of the family. So we spend Thanksgiving with my husband's side of the family now is what we do. And I mean, it's just like I said, it's still a different vibe than family. So I always recommend, like, if you can do a Friendsgiving with, like I said, the people that you choose to have fun with, like, you should do it. It's a different vibe.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, if I could do like a Thanksgiving with just my core group of friends, I already know how I would feel versus like, and I love my in-laws, but and my in-laws, I'm a little bit more, not as relaxed as I would be around
Right,
like my
it's just not as
friends.
chill,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah,
Chill.
like, it's just a
Yeah.
little bit, like, more I don't know, like, not necessarily it's definitely not tense. But that's not really the right word. I don't know, it's different.
Relaxing. I mean,
Mhm.
let's be real. No matter how much you love your in-laws, like you have to put on a little bit of a show, even if you've been married for like 30, 40 years, I think, because we all want our in-laws, to accept us on some level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you just want to, and if my in-laws are listening right now, but you do, you just, you're just a little bit more proper versus around your friends. You're just like, you know what I mean? I don't know, but my
Yeah,
in-laws,
I
they
think
also
that's
got
more
potty
of what
mouths
it
too.
is, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, you don't really have to you don't have to be on your best behavior with your friends, right?
Yes.
You can, like I
Yeah.
said, you can relax and you can have fun and we all make jokes and so I mean I'm really close with my mother-in-law, so that's not a problem for me. I'm not as close with the rest of his family. But again, like I said, it's really different when you're with, you know, your close people than but I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
So,
Like, you can swim in mashed potatoes and gravy with your friends, but with your
yeah.
family, you can't get out the paddleboard and start swimming in those mashed potatoes and gravy and chowing down. You're
Yeah.
like, maybe if, my in-laws would like seconds, I'll just take a little bit or something. So yeah, it's definitely different versus your friends. You just bust out and you just go to town. So yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I'm only scheduled to work one day this week. And then I volunteered to work Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And then, yeah, I'm taking Thanksgiving off. And like I said, we're going to spend it with Brett's family. His brother and sister-in-law are hosting it, this year, and so we're gonna go over to their house, and then I said that this might be the actual first year that I actually might participate and make something. I usually during Friendsgiving, I make, a macaroni salad that is, like, a special recipe in my family, and so I keep that tradition going, for Friendsgiving, and I was like, "Maybe I'll make it for Thanksgiving this year. It's just gonna depend on how I feel." And that's what I told them. Like, it's just gonna depend on how I feel energy wise. Because like I said, like, I still have good days and I have bad days. So it'll just depend on my energy level. But I really would like to this year.
Yeah. Well, if you do it, send a picture to me because I'm a food person, especially for carbs. So send a picture to me if you do, because
Yeah.
I'll be eating local food down here. So no turkey and mashed potatoes for me. But so I'm actually excited to see like what everybody's going to be eating on social media. Like I want to see pictures of mashed potatoes and gravy. I want to see a turkey because we're not going to get that down here. But also, we wanted to come on. We deliberately planned this over Thanksgiving because it's my birthday. So we
Yeah, happy
did that and
birthday.
yeah, yeah. I turned 27 again this year. So yeah, we're good. Yeah, loved it. Uh, I think. I think that's what I say. And I'm a Golden Girls fan. Some of my friends who know me will be like, what, in Blanche years? So that's when I say when I'm like, yeah, I'm turning 27 again. So yeah, we decided to do this on Thanksgiving and I'm really excited just to get the time away and like, I'm very, very fortunate. One of my best client actually, Jill, her parents own this VRBO. So that's where I'm at right now is my client's parents who own this VRBO right here. And behind me, you see like a big tree, but right to the other side, maybe as the light goes down, we got a view of the Pacific Ocean, like right here. It's
Wow.
like all water, like right behind me, right around the other side of this tree. And it's so gorgeous. And it's so beautiful. So for us to just to get away and not have to, um, you know, deal with the holidays right now, I feel like was exactly kind of what we wanted to do. So I started talking to my client, and she's very, very lovely, lovely client who gave me a beautiful discount because I'm not a I'm a vet tech, money, even though me and you have talked about, we do make more than we did in a clinic. I'm not rich per
Right.
se, um, but she did this for my birthday and they've been nothing but wonderful and accommodating. Alex couldn't get the gate open, which is so weird because he's like the smartest guy I've ever met. But he was struggling with that gate. So I texted my client and I'm like, hey, is there something wrong with the gate? And within like 2 minutes, she had help on the way. Come to find out,
Nice.
come to find out, it turns in the other direction. So that was the issue. Uh, yeah. So I know. But yeah, it's been so fun and it's been really great. And yeah, my client, if anybody's looking for a Verbo, I'll put the notes or I'll put the Verbo link in the show notes because it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah, I got the hammock.
Awesome.
A big group of monkeys came down a few hours ago and stole the fruit, the fake fruit on the table. They scared me half to death because I've never seen monkeys before.
Really?
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, beside in a zoo, yeah, I never seen, like, monkeys out in the natural habitat, so when they just kinda came down in a group this morning, like, I jumped. I was like, "What is that in the hammock?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a monkey," and they told us that monkeys were here, and then they had this, bowl of fake fruit, and I see this one monkey, like, off with this lemon in its mouth. I'm like, "I don't think there's lemons out there." I'm like, "Oh, they stole the fruit." And so I'm like, "Alex," and Alex actually had his laptop out here. He was playing games out here
Oh,
this morning with his
he, like,
mouse.
left it out here? Like, left it
Yeah,
outside? Yeah, not a good
left
idea.
outside.
And then there's
Yeah.
monkeys.
Yeah, because I
No.
was like, they're gonna," like, I was scared that they're gonna take his mouse because it's, like, the size of a lemon,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh." So Alex, I was like, "Go up, brave soldier," and he, like, ran out there and, like, there's, like, a swarm of monkeys, like, there's probably, like, 7 to 10 of them, maybe, I wouldn't say that many, and, yeah, he picked up everything and, like, ran back inside both me and I'm like, "We're from Detroit, we're from Flint, we don't see this very often." So we're like, "What?"
Oh my
The
gosh.
fun s Yes, the fun stuff about going on vacation, and this is why if you're a vet tech, you need to go on vacation so you can experience things that scare you that are not scary.
Yeah.
Get out of your
Oh my
comfort zone.
gosh. Yeah.
So,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So, my work week, well, I've been here, but last week, I had something kind of interesting I wanna talk about. When I talk about, like, us mobile vet techs and some of the things we do, a lot of people don't realize it, but we de-escalate a lot on the outside. I actually had a situation last week where one of my clients got really upset at our local emergency and critical care facility. And I wound up de escalating her from that. And Jen, you work in emergency critical care, so maybe you can put some input on this. But that's the only thing that really happened in my week that I want to talk about is what happened with one of my really good clients. We have a 7-year-old Mastiff who has had a history of a cruciate repair, I believe it
Mhm.
was. She had a knee surgery and she's been on carprofen since then. I went to her house a few months ago and my client noticed that she was limping a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm like, we definitely, take her to the vet. I come back 4 weeks later and she hasn't gone yet, but the limping is now more profound. And now it's limping on the front. And I was like, you need to go. And she was like, yep, all I needed was your confirmation. She was like, I was thinking that maybe she had just played too hard. She is a larger dog. She runs fast, especially for a mastiff. And she was like, but now that I got your confirmation, I'm gonna go. And I was like, great, call them on Monday, get her in. I'm worried. She calls me on Tuesday at 2 o'clock and my owner's 10 out of 10 hot. I mean, pissed. And she's very level headed. She does business dealings for her line of work. And her line of work, she's wheeling dealing, she's crunching numbers. I've seen her actively working before. I've been at her house. She's a true professional. So for me to see her this hot, I was like, okay, you need to calm down, breathe, relax, tell me what's going on. And she was at our local facility. I don't know if she went in through ortho or if she went into emergency. I don't know which way she went in, but my client had told me that she never saw the doctor, but she paid an exam fee and she only saw a technician. And the technician had taken the dog to the back and drew blood and then brought the dog back. They didn't want to do x rays, according to my client. But again, we have a mastiff that's limping that has a history of a knee surgery and has been on carprofen for a long time. So I'm not too sure of why they did that. But what made my client mad was the technician, I guess, told her, well, if it's my dog, I would just take her home. And again, I'm going to emphasize I was not there. This is from what my client is telling me. And when the limping didn't improve in a few days, she wanted to go back. And they said, okay, no problem. You can come back. We'll do x rays and we're going to charge you for an office call. And that's what ticked off my client. She was like, I'm not paying for an office call. She's like, I'll gladly pay for x rays. But she was like, I was there. I wanted x rays. Your technician sent me home, drew blood, and did not want to do x rays. And we know that something is not matching up there, right? A technician isn't going to step out of their scope. And I asked her, I was like, are you sure it was only the technician? Are you sure it wasn't the doctor? And my client like boldly says, Michelle, I've been working with you for 8 years. She's like, I know the difference of an assistant, a technician, and a doctor. And I'm like, okay, she's right. She knows, she knows. So I'm thinking that wires got crossed in the back of a communication. I'm thinking that at some point the doctor may have examined the pet in the back, or
Mhm.
maybe the technician went
Probably.
into the wrong room. Like, I don't see where this could have legally happened because then we have a technician stepping out of their scope big time, and that's not going to happen. But my client was about ready to go blast them on all the local community groups. She was about ready to Instagram. She was ready. And I told her, I was like, okay, I understand the story. I was like, you're a businesswoman. I was like, breathe in, breathe out. I was like, if you do this right now, I was like, all that's going to happen is they probably have a PR team ready on standby to defuse a situation. If it gets bad in our community, if they start wanting to go there with pitchforks on a witch hunt, all you're going to do is scare a bunch of innocent technicians, receptionists, doctors that are not in that situation.
Yeah,
I
it's
was like,
never the right thing to do.
that's
That's
what I
never the
told her.
right
I
thing to
was
do.
exactly, yes. And I did tell her about what happened in Maine a few years back with the puppy. I was like, you can't do this to them. I was like, you're a businesswoman, right? She was like, yes. I was like, you're a professional, right? She was like, yes. I'm like, this is your business deal now. I was like, look at the situation as a business deal. That's what you do all day long. I want you to do that. I was
Like
like,
you're
it's
making
too,
a decision based off of an emotion.
yes. And once I told her, I was like, I need you to be at work. I was like, I need you to go working mode. I was like, give it till 2 p.m. tomorrow. I was like, 24 hours. I was like, please sleep on it. Don't post anything on social media. I need you to sleep on it. I was like, if you call back, you need to ask for the office manager, not the doctor.
Right.
You need to calmly explain what happened. If you go in there hot, they're going to shut you down. I'm like, if you go in there and explain what
Yeah.
happened, that you believe you did not see a doctor and the technician just sent you home,
And they will have
then they're going
every
to,
right to refuse to see you for the future.
Mhm.
So if it's the only emergency clinic in the area, like they have every right to be like, you're fired from here. You can never come here again. And I've fired clients before that are like, okay, if that's how
Yes,
you truly feel about us, then you're never allowed to come here again. So
exactly. Yeah. And that was one of my concerns, and I mean, they're one of my favorites in the area because they are locally owned, so I actually refer all my clients there, if they have choices. I say
yeah,
that's where I prefer to go if I have a choice,
yeah,
and I did not want it to end up like that to where they would and for her, it was more the standpoint of, I would have done that because she wanted to go in and get an X-ray done. She really
right,
wanted an X-ray done.
yeah,
She went in with that mindset, and the technician dismissed her, again, according to her, I wasn't there.
right.
So that's where I think that a communication ball had got dropped. But yeah, and she was like, I'll pay for the x-rays. I'll do this. But she's like, I'm not going to pay for another office call. I wanted that x-ray. The technician sent me home. And I'm like,
Right.
so again, communication was dropped, I think.
Right. And I'm going to say from my perspective, obviously, I've worked in emergency clinics where we do an exam. I work one of the emergency clinics that I do relief for. The doctor does not perform the exam in the room with the owners. We have so many critical patients in the back that our doctors, for the most part, cannot leave the treatment area. So, what we do is we have the assistants triage, and then the assistants bring the dogs to the back, and the doctor will perform a full physical exam in the back. Then they either keep the animal in the treatment area, depending on how critical it is, or we bring the animal back to the owner, and then the doctor will come in. And sometimes the doctor goes into the exam room to speak to the owner. Sometimes they call the owner on their phone because, again, the doctor can't leave the treatment area and because of how critical some of our patients are. So we've had some instances and some days where the doctor talks to the owner over the phone in the treatment area. So Mhm. And it really just depends, and I think at that point, you do have to be transparent with your clients, and I have always been in situations like that because they're only gonna get mad if they don't know what's going on and if they think, like, I would be honest, I don't know what everyone else does. I know what I would do, but I don't know what everyone else does, but I've literally been like, "My doctor's in a procedure, so it's gonna be a minute," and then I'll just go back and I'll be like, look, there's like they're on the phone, like kind of like thrown onto the bus in that way where like I'm explaining to the owner why the doctor's taking so long, right? Like the doctor's still
Yeah.
dealing with a critical patient in the back. The doctor's on the phone. Like I don't just say like, oh, it's gonna be even a longer wait and we can't tell you why. Because I mean, come on, like you can tell them that the doctor is caught up in something else, especially in an emergency clinic. So that's one take there. Another take is I've worked in emergency and critical care where we literally have critical case after critical case after critical case, and a limping dog is not a priority.
Critical. Yes.
It's not critical.
No, we
So
know. We know
in
it's not
that
critical.
case, um, you know, I would say most hospitals would take the time and they would offer everything, especially if an owner wanted something.
She did.
Would we decline? Would we say no? I mean, I don't in
Those things
clinics where I've said I don't think so. We wouldn't say no, we're not going to do that. Um, I have been in instances where we've said we can do that, but it's going to be a long wait because your dog is not a priority right now. We are an emergency and critical care. So for a dog that's been limping for a while, they need to go to the regular vet. I mean, it's not an emergency. So yeah, I mean, there's been cases where we've said, like, yeah, we're happy to see you, but you are not in the red zone. You're in the green zone. So
you're in the
it could be
system.
it could be up to 3 to 5 hours before we're even able to start working up your dog. So maybe none of that was communicated. Maybe the doctor was thinking, we don't have time for this. Like, send them on their way or just let them know that your dog is. I mean, and I have also been in situations where we have been so slammed where we have said, look, your dog is stable. This is something that you can wait on. You can go to your regular vet or you can go to the urgent care down the street tomorrow. Like, here are your other options because right now we are short staffed and we just don't have time to see these stable cases. So that is my perspective of working in emergency and critical care. Um, can we sit here and say that it was handled appropriately? No, because we weren't there and we don't know
Yes.
what was happening and we don't know what was communicated and we don't know the whole story. All we know is one side at this point in time. But I've also been on the side where we have worked on cases and then we've been blasted on social media and that was just one side of the story. And because
Yes.
it was so emotional, there were very important things that were missed, that were not said, just so that everyone else can be angry too. So, I mean, I am not and I understand where your client is coming from in a sense, but I think that I agree with you. I think that that's where the communication is where things escalated
Yeah,
because
for sure.
if they didn't have time or if the patient was stable. But like I said, I have worked on some days where literally everything like we are drowning and then we have a limping dog that comes in and not only that the dog has been limping for months or weeks and we're like, okay, why are you here? Why are you with the emergency clinic? Like, go to your regular vet or go to urgent care. Like, we don't have time for this. And I will say that is that the right thing to do? No, but that's just like we're drowning and we're just like, okay, emergency clinics are for when you're like your pet is dying.
Circling the drain. Yeah.
They're not for ear infections, things like that. So, I mean, and then have there been cases where we've seen dogs that are limping and we've done x-rays and we've done blood work and we recommend, of course, yeah, absolutely. But maybe, who knows? Who knows what it could have been like that day? I just don't
I'm also
know.
wondering no, I'm also wondering too, because they do have an ortho specialist there, and that's why she went there. My brain is telling me because she
Okay.
got in so quickly. Yeah, I think because here's my take is I don't know if she went to the emergency or ortho. And the only reason I'm thinking she went to emergency is because she got in so quickly. But that's where she went for the original surgery. And they do have an ortho department there.
Do
So
you have to
that's
be
why it's kind
referred in order to see the ortho specialist? Or can you just
I
make an appointment and get right in?
that's the part I'm unsure about, to be honest. But I know that's where she had the original surgery. I'm I'm my other part of my brain was thinking that because she has had the surgery there before, the ortho department may have had a cancellation, but like, oh yeah, we can get you in like the next day because it's you can't get in those guys for months. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, at least
Oh,
here in
yeah.
Michigan, they're booked up for months. So that's why I'm
Specialist.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I know My cardiologist is, like, on an 8-month wait, so that I already got my appointment booked for next year.
Yeah,
So, um,
man.
I don't know, the other part about it is, like, yeah, she could have went into the ortho because that's where she had the surgery done, and they could so even then, like, the communication ball got dropped
Yeah.
somewhere. Because I told her, I was like, "You need to call the office manager after you've had 24 hours to calm down." I was like,
Yeah,
"Trust me."
yeah,
I was like, "You're a
and
businesswoman. This is what you
give
do
them a
for a living."
chance to give them
Yeah,
a chance to make up for it, right? Like, give them the chance to say, "Look, what this wasn't handled appropriately. Let's fix it." Don't just automatically, try to bash the company. Like, there could have been so many things going on, and we're all human beings at the end of the day. And, if we're going based off of her story and we're gonna sit here and say, she didn't see a veterinarian, she didn't even talk to a veterinarian. Is that okay? No, that's not okay. Is that what really happened? We don't know. We don't know the side of the story. So we can't sit here and, I'm going to be the last person to sit here and start berating a clinic and judging a clinic. Man, I've seen
exactly.
all sides of it. So,
Yeah,
but I'm also not going to sit here and say that, based on what she said, that they did the right thing. I think that at the end of the day, a lot of times when things like this happen, it's because things are not communicated appropriately. Sometimes if we're transparent with the client and we just let them know, like, look, I really wish that we had the time to see you today, but we are drowning and we just, there's just so many different things that could have been going on. And even if that wasn't what's going on, like still just communicate. So yeah. Yeah, and I think again, like I said, emergency is really, really hard because sometimes they have time to see those types of cases and sometimes they don't. Um,
yeah,
and I think that sometimes it's hard for people to be transparent and to tell the truth and instead they do things like that where like, the technician comes in and is like, honestly, like I would just wait it out and I would just do the conservative and like, maybe just try a regular vet and things like that instead of just being like, look, we are happy to see you. We can do everything that you'd like us to do, but we are very busy and it's going to be a couple of hours before we can get to it, but we can still get to it, things like that. So
yeah.
there's so many different ways that you can handle situations like that. I think and with me myself, I always think it's always better to be transparent with the client and let them know the truth of the situation and 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 yeah, is it going to make more work for you in the day? It is, but that's a part of the job. That's why we're there.
And
So,
that's the other part is she does have a general practice that she goes to. She does. So she is in regular contact. So, I mean, but here's the other part is when I talked to her Tuesday, I checked in. I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing?" She was actually at her primary getting x-rays, and that's when they found a big ol' osteosarcoma on the front limb, and they euthanized the dog a few days later. So, that's the
yep,
sad
and that
part
happens
behind
too.
it. Yep, is it was the ultimate bad news. Would and we know that whatever happened at that emergency or specialty, because again, I don't know what department she went into. The only thing it would have done is given her a couple extra days to give her dog extra cheeseburgers and extra, snuggles on the couch, do the dog bucket list. That's the thing that she missed out on was that extra time of knowing I don't have that much time. Let's make the most of it. Like the communication that was dropped caused my client to miss a couple of precious days to enjoy the dog
Right.
with its
And
last
I
couple of days.
And I'll say, as soon as you mention the story to me and you think large breed dog limping for a while, like, yeah, I mean, my first thought does go to osteosarcoma too. We've seen it. I've seen it enough times working in emergency, like, and then in internal medicine, we have an internal medicine specialty connected to one of the places I do relief for. So yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, and again, that's something that could have been I mean, and I think again, it's just hard for me. I don't want to sit here and speak badly of something that I
Speculate.
don't 100% know what the story was,
Same.
but I can sympathize with the owner
Me
and
too.
and sit here and say, was it handled appropriately? Most likely not because of how upset the client was. because handling things appropriately is always good communication.
Think they saw the upset version though. I got a feeling they didn't. I got a feeling I did. Because when she called me, she was hot. And I know she can hold her composure. And I think because she knows me so well and we've been working together for so long that she felt comfortable being like hot, angry with me. And she revved herself up as she was explaining the story. Knowing her, she kept her composure to whoever she spoke to. I imagine it was a receptionist calling back saying, "Hey, my dog is still limping. I'd like to get in, please, for that x-ray." And then when they said, "Well, okay, no problem, but you have to pay for the office call," I got a feeling that's when she got mad. She probably
Right,
went
and
back
that's
and
just
forth
their
for a few seconds and then
protocol.
came to me. Yeah.
That's just their
Yeah.
protocol. They don't know that all of that happened. Like, they're just answering phones, they're just doing their job, and they're just
Yeah.
following a protocol. Like, they're not like, that's not something that they're maliciously doing. Like, they don't know. They don't know what
Yeah.
happened.
So I guess for me, the important part of this whole situation is I don't know if we're ever going to truly know what had transpired during that event. We don't know if she went to emergency. We don't know if she went to ortho. We don't know if the doctor, now that Jen has talked through it, the doctor could have well did an examination in the back and the communication ball had been dropped. But my client was ready to drop the ball and she's actually pretty high profile with some of the clients she has in her area. So she could have done a lot of damage just by going into our community groups. And I'm hoping that instead of the receptionist getting it and the staff getting it, because I know her so well and she's so comfortable with me, that I got it. I don't believe she ever called them back. From what I understand, she went right to her GP the next day. Again, it could have been ortho that said, "Yeah, we got a cancellation, come on in." So we'll never know that. But I am just kind of glad that I was there for my client to help diffuse her, get into her head and be like, "I know you. This is not you. Calm down. This is a business deal. We got this." And it had a very sad ending. Whether she would have got seen there or at her GP, the outcome would have been the same. But I did not want to see one of those social media shit shows blowing up and my client was involved in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was one of those moments of like, hopefully the industry will see like mobile vet techs, even though we're not in it, we're still helping in some way,
Right.
shape, or form. You just may not see us in the background helping you because I was in the background helping you guys in that moment and explaining to her that communication could have gotten dropped. So that's why
Right.
that story was important for me to tell this week is because we don't
And
know. But
it's always better to, if you are upset, like you said, Michelle, I just want to bring it back and just really emphasize, call them, ask if you can speak to the practice manager. Be calm when you do it, because I can tell you, if
yes,
you're already angry, if you're already yelling at, the receptionist, or if you're already in that high state, I'm telling you right now, they are not going to take you seriously. They are not, they're just going to, because they deal with it so often, it's more of just, it's, this is another client that's threatening us, kind of thing. And so it puts them on the defense. But if you come in and you're calm and you're like, look, I just want to tell somebody about this situation that happened. And I want to make sure that this gets communicated to you guys so that something like this doesn't happen again. Because it really set me off and I got really upset. And I got so upset to the point where I did want to do these things. But instead, I'm calling you, I'm having this conversation, and I'm giving you the opportunity to change it and to resolve it so that this won't happen again in the future.
that's excellent. That's what, and if we have any clients on
And that's the
any
adult
part
thing
out
to
here,
do.
hear that. Yes, that is.
I think that it's so unfortunate, social media. There's such a thing on social media now where we bash each other, we bash other businesses, we bash other people, and that's our first thing to go to, where, in a lot of cases, if we just have that communication, and even like talking to your friends or your family, you go on this rampage and you're emotional, and then you almost you make things worse by by just talking behind each other's backs, or by saying that you're upset but you're not actually telling the person who can fix it that you're upset. So it's just, it's going back to communication. Just communicate and give them the chance to make things better. If they don't, from there, then you can decide what you want to do at that point in time. But be an adult, have that conversation. It's difficult to have those conversations, but those conversations are important to have. Give them the chance to fix it. Give them the chance to to see if something can be either fixed with that, or if they can say, "Wow, I'm glad you told us about your experience. We'll make sure that this communication doesn't happen again." And then that's a learning experience for the hospital to have, for the clinic to have, and say, "Look, we really need to work on our communication." Things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been a learning moment for everybody.
Right.
Yes. So, yeah, good points of view from both of us on that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again and
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is the advice that I'm gonna give your client, or to anybody else that happens to, is, like you said, calling and talking to the practice manager and just seeing if, something better can come from having that conversation.
Yeah. And I do also, I'll stand by, like, just give yourself time to cool off too. Like at
Right.
least 8 hours minimum. Like just
Yes.
give yourself, before you react to something, just give yourself some time to cool off. I've had to do that myself. So we've all
Yeah.
had to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just practice cool off period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but my
I
heart goes out to
had
your client too. I'm very, very sorry for her loss, and
Thank you.
for, I mean, it's hard. So, my heart goes out to her as well.
I don't know you said that, but now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, and that is taking a vacation, whether you are still full time in a clinic, what that looked like for me and Jen, or what it looks like when you run your own business, the good and the bad of each side. When me and Jen were prepping for this, I was looking back at the good parts about being in a clinic on vacation. There is good parts. Yeah. But I was thinking about the good parts and the downfalls of being a business owner while on vacation. And so, yeah, let's hop into it and all the different ways a vacation can look for vet techs. Um, I know with me personally, what a vacation looked like working in a clinic. Um, yeah, I took one because I couldn't afford it. I don't know how else to put that. I could never afford a vacation. I was paycheck to paycheck, and I remember some of the things that kind of struck out to me during my clinic life, and some of the moments when I was reflecting is I had one clinic, and me and Jen were actually talking in the pre-record. She went to Europe before, and I've mentioned before in a previous episode I wanted to go to Europe with my boyfriend at the time, now husband, when his best friend got married. And I remember I told my office manager before I hired him, like right when they gave me the offer in October, I was like, hey, by the way, next year, so like 14 months from now, I want to go to a wedding in Europe. My husband or my boyfriend's best friend is getting married. And she's like, yeah, sure, sure. And like say what 3 or 4 months later, that's when they took me in the extra room and they're like, well, it's either us or Europe. And I regrettably chose them. Not to say my experience was horrible after that. It was not. I learned a lot from that clinic. I'm fortunate, but I didn't get to go to Europe. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get to go again or have that opportunity to go. So that struck out to me, was like one of those moments where I think I was on my way out, is when I was told I couldn't after I was told I could. So always get that stuff in writing. Just FYI, learn from my mistakes. So that one really hurt. That same clinic, actually, Alex, I found out later on, Alex had called my DVM, not me, but he called the clinic and was like, I'm planning to take Michelle and her best friend, Ada, to Washington. You need to let her have the time off. So he actually orchestrated a vacation for me because he knew that that boss had declined me going to Europe. So, like, even my husband kind of put his foot down to my DVM and called her without telling me, was like, you don't let her go to Europe. That's not cool. I'm planning this out in the summer of 2017, I think it was, maybe 2016, whatever. And she's going to go. And my office manager and my DVM knew about it, but they kept it a secret from me. I thought that was cool though that he did that, but it just kind
Yeah.
of goes to show you the extra steps that had to be taken to allow me to get that time off work, which shouldn't have been taken in the first place.
Right.
Like, let's be real. I should have been able to go, hey boss, I want to go to Washington for a week during the summer. Here's
Mhm.
my request. I'm out. But she would not have let me go. She'd be like, I need you here. You're my only LVT. You have to be here. So my husband stepped in and did it for me, or my boyfriend back then. And I actually wound up leaving that clinic before that vacation. and I hired on to the next clinic. And I was like, "So I got this trip planned out." They're like, "Oh yeah, fine. Sure, no problem." Like, "I want it in writing." And they didn't even care. Like, "Absolutely. Why wouldn't we put this in writing for you?" And they let me go with like absolutely no hesitation at all, which I thought was like a breath of fresh air. Yes, that was like a good breath of fresh air for me was to actually have them say, "Not a problem, you can go." The only thing with that clinic is when it came to conferences, only the head tech, Jen, was allowed to go to the conference every year, but she never wanted to go. So they're kind of
What?
funny about conferences. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we in Michigan had the Michigan Veterinary Conference. And that kinda stuck out to me too a little bit, is how that clinic would only let the head tech go, and if she didn't go, the second in command can go, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a little odd, but they took vacation seriously. If you wanna go, just let us go. But again, I could barely afford to go. Like, I ate sandwiches over there the entire time because I was so broke, but I made it work. Um, I remember the fun parts about it. I remember when I did go to Washington, I brought back, gifts for my coworkers. I know my one coworker, I brought her back a shot glass. I know my other coworker, I brought her back a bag of potato chips that you can only get from the area. So I thought that was, like, the fun part about going on
Mhm.
vacation while working in a clinic is bringing back goodies for my coworkers that you can't find in Michigan, but stuff that's only exclusive to Oregon and Washington. So where you're at, essentially.
Yeah.
And that was the fun part. Yeah, that was, like, the best part was just being like, "Oh, yeah, here's some cool stuff for you guys," and I didn't worry about work when I was in a clinic either. So, here I'm still worrying about work, not the
Mm.
podcast, but, like, my clients, so that's a whole 'nother we'll go over that in a minute, but in a clinic, at least that's what it looked like. I was too broke to afford it. The one time I did save up enough money, my PVM was like, "Nuh-uh, you can't do that, you gotta be here." So, that's what it looked like for me. So, I don't have much to comment on other than the fact that I was too broke to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jen? Before you started your relief business, what did it look like for you when you were going on vacation? How many vacations, what vacations did you take?
So there's this joke between me and my friends that I have now that there's old Jen and new Jen. Um
Oh,
so old Jen was very focused on work. Um it was just work, 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 career, career, career. I put work before my family. I put work before everything. My main focus was just to make as much money as possible and to focus on my checklist, right? So checklist of, having that savings account, things like that. My ex-husband that I was married to at the time, w- I I've always wanted to travel my whole life. It was something that I'd always wanted to do. My ex-husband was very opposite of me. He was basically like, "Why would I ever want to leave the United States? It's the greatest country in the world. I have no interest in ever going anywhere." And so I think it's a big thing when you are with somebody who you're not compatible with in that sense. Cause I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, if you're not gonna go, well, then I'm not gonna go either because I was also not the person to go take trips by myself. And I didn't really have friends that were taking trips either, big trips. So there was one trip that we were gonna take. We were gonna do it with my grandparents. We were gonna go on the Panama Canal cruise and I had asked for it. So this was in 2019 or 2018 that we had this planned. And so it was like a year in advance that I had told my job. And it was at an emergency clinic where we were we were always short staffed. Like we were always super short staffed. We were always trying to compensate. Like I was always working extra hours because somebody had quit or somebody had gotten fired. And we were just always in panic mode. Like we would hire enough people, but that wouldn't last for very long. And then we'd be in panic mode again. And so I remember planning this trip. We were going to go to the Panama Canal cruise, which was going to be a
mhm.
2-week cruise. And then we were going to land in LA and then we were going to go to Disneyland. And that was going to be our trip, and it was planned for March of 2020.
Oh,
So Yeah. So that was planned, and I remember messaging my manager, who was in charge of the schedule, and she said at the time that it shouldn't be a problem. Well, as we were inching closer to that, I remember just telling her, like, "Hey, heads up, we might be gone for almost a month, right? This could be like a 2 to 3 week. I mean, the cruise itself was 2 weeks, and then maybe an additional almost 3 weeks." And then she goes, "Oh, well, I didn't realize you were going to be gone for so long. We're super short staffed. I'm not sure that's going to work."
Oh,
And yeah. And I remember just being obviously devastated and being like, "Yeah, I knew it. Like, I knew that this wasn't going to happen. I don't think I'm going to be able to go on this cruise." And I remember my grandparents were like, "You literally let them know a year in advance." I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't know what's going to happen in a year, especially at a vet clinic. Like, we just get so short staffed so fast. And at that point, they can't survive without you." So, and I was not in the mindset that I'm in now. I literally was in the mindset of just, I'm not going to be able to go. And then I, so then obviously March of 2020 is when everything shut down. And COVID. So I think it was either a week or 2 weeks before we were supposed to even go on this cruise, um, that I was still basically like, it's not going to happen anyway. And then COVID happened. And so nobody was able to go on this trip because everything got shut down. So in a way, I was just like, oh, okay, well, the Lord works in mysterious ways. It probably wasn't going to happen anyway. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I really didn't miss out on anything because nobody was able to go on that trip. But that was literally the one big trip. That was going to be my first, like, really big international trip. And then after that, 2020 was, obviously, I think 2020 was horrible for everybody. That
yes.
was when, I'm about to be really transparent here. I suffered a miscarriage that, summer. And then, my ex-husband, this was deep into COVID, ended up having to leave. He had to be quarantined away from me. And he was living in a hotel. And this was right after I had had my miscarriage. So I was going through like really bad, postpartum depression and, trying to just like navigate how to handle having a miscarriage and doing all those things. And then he did bad things while he was away. And then we ended up separating. Um, and in Thanksgiving of 2020 is when I was basically like, I'm getting divorced. Like, this isn't, I'm not doing this again. So I had to go through a whole like new awakening of like old gen, new gen. And so when new gen blossomed, I had really amazing friends that really helped me through my journey. And I feel like, I don't know, I've never seen Eat, Pray, Love, but I feel like, people have told me that that's like, oh, it's like Eat, Pray, Love. Like you went through something really traumatic and then you like came back and you were like a whole new person. And we, and then I met my current husband, and gosh, like we have been on so many, he took me, we went to Cabo. We've also done like so many road trips. Like we'll go to like road tripping, go see hot springs, like 5, 6 hours, like, and then we'll just like hot spring, things like that. We've done so many amazing things. We've been to Cabo a couple times. We went to Cancun. He proposed to me in Cancun. And obviously we've been to France. We went to France and Greece last year. And then we went to Mendoza, Argentina, just just this year in, I think, January or February, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just so like so many different vacations and even just like I said, road trips. I haven't even mentioned like we did like a mini road trip one summer with our best friends where we drove down to Utah, and then we went to like Zion National Park and we did Angel's Landing and like a quick weekend trip to Sedona, Arizona with my best friend for her sister's baby shower kind of thing. Just so many different things. Um, and so when that happened, I was working full time, I would say, for the majority of those trips. But I think that
What?
that's when
Like, in a clinic? You were working full-time in a clinic and you went on
yes.
all those trips?
Yes. Yeah.
Girl,
So
that's
I
impressive.
right. So I mean, obviously with that clinic, and then I left and then I went to another clinic, and that was the clinic that I was like I had set my boundaries with, and I had told them,
Mm.
that I this is the set schedule I want, and I want every other weekend off kind of thing. So I was able to really work around with my schedule to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to have like 5 days off in a row every other week. So I can make that work, right? Like if I have 5 days off in a row every other week, like I can go on small road trips. Like we can get in the car and we can do a 3-hour road trip to Salmon, Idaho and hit the hot springs for the weekend because I'll be back in time for work kind of thing. So that's what we did. And then I have to admit, the boss that I had at the time, because I'll also say I used to be the person, and I don't know if you were like this, Michelle, where I never asked because I just assumed the answer would be no. I didn't even bother asking. I would just be like, oh, it's probably going to be no. So I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to assume that I can't do it. That's who I used to
I
be.
asked.
See, and so yeah, everybody's different. I was not that person. I was always like, I'm assuming the answer is going to be no, or I didn't want to be an inconvenience, so I didn't even bother asking. I'm definitely not that person anymore. And I remember for the Sedona, Arizona one, um, it was going to be weird where we were going to be gone, but I worked that one Wednesday in between the week. And so I basically asked my boss, I was like, hey, my best friend just invited me to go to Sedona, Arizona. Um, but can I switch that Wednesday for a Friday and I'll just be back on that Thursday and then I can work a Friday instead of a Wednesday? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Have fun. And I even remember when we went to Cancun, when me and my husband, or no, yeah, when me and my husband went to Cancun in 2023, um, we ended up getting a free day. They like offered us like a free day to stay. And I remember messaging my boss and being like, "Hey, I know I'm supposed to work this day, but we just got offered a free day. Is it okay if I stay?" And then I just missed that day of work. And she was like, I was like, "We just got engaged." And she's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations, like on your engagement. Have a great
That's
have a great trip.
awesome.
Like we'll see you when you get here." Like they were great. Like absolutely. So that made a huge difference too. And then my last big trip right before I went relief was when we went to France and Greece. And that was a 2-week trip. And and that was kind of where it was a little bit we just had new management, and that's where it was going to be a little bit wishy-washy. I had put in the time for France and Greece at least a year prior, but I hadn't even gotten like the A-OK, and I was still, I think it was like 2 weeks before we were supposed to go. I still hadn't gotten the A-OK, and I was like,
Oh,
look, like I'm going. So either I'm putting in my 2 weeks today or you are telling me that I'm good to go. And that was also around the time where we were trying to figure out like they wanted me to have a different schedule. And that's when I was like, I think I'm just going to go relief. And so I think even just a week before we left is when I had the conversation with my boss and she wanted to change my schedule, just period. And I said, you know what? I think that my last day is going to be this day. And then I'm leaving to go to France and Greece, and then from that time on, I'm going to just only be relief. So there was really that transition of like I went on this trip and then I was like, and now I'm going relief. So yeah. And then uh since I've done relief, we've done a lot of mini trips. We always do, like I said, we still continue to do the mini trips, the mini road trips, camping, things like that. But we went to Mendoza, Argentina in February. And I think, gosh, we were gone for like 10 or 12 days.
okay.
And
That's a
again,
while.
yeah, and again, it's like it's nice. I didn't have to ask for the time off. I just knew like, hey, and I got a lot of offers to work for those weeks too. And I was just like, I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be on vacation. So I think that's definitely been the nicest is, not even having to worry about asking for permission because we go on so many vacations. And then when you have PTO, um, you only get so many hours, right? So,
Yes.
and then with the amount of vacations that were wanting to go on or planning to go on, I was like, it's just better to have my freedom and to just say, look, I'll tell you when I work, and I'm going to go on vacation when I want to go on vacation. So, yeah, and we're hoping that that won't end. Um, so yeah, lots of vacations. Like so many, I can't even really think of how many places we've been just within the past 4 years.
Uh, that I feel like that's a true blessing. So many techs can't get to that level. Like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
my thing just said reconnect. Yeah. That's the thing is like, yeah, so many techs can't do that. So it's
But I think a lot of it too is like maybe because they're not in that mindset either. Because I know that when I wasn't going on any trips, I wasn't on that mindset. I wasn't even in thinking that that was something that, number one, I could afford, or number two, like I didn't have enough people in my life that even made something like that a priority or make it happen. So it just wasn't realistic in that time of my life either.
yeah. And now it is. I mean, and that since the time I've met you, like you just told us about your extended weekend that you had with your friends, your Friendsgiving. Like you can do these sort of things when you own your own business. You don't have to worry about asking them saying no. We need warm bodies on the floor. We can't predict what's going to happen next year. It's
Right.
all those unknown factors when you're still employed with somebody that you can't control your own life and when you decide to go on vacation.
Yeah. And I mean, and not everyone's like that either. I mean, I could probably say that. Like maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea to, go on extravagant vacations or travel internationally, and that's okay, but I think
Yeah.
it's still really important to make it a priority. Like you don't have to go on big fancy vacations, but gosh, like I said,
Staycation.
the amount of times where it's like, if you have 2 or 3 days off in a row, like, you can do a lot with that. Like, you can actually there's I mean, at least in my area, there's so many little mini vacations that we've taken just for those couple of days, just to get out of, that work mindset, and to get out of the house and just to go do something yeah, yeah, and really, with vacations, you have to prioritize them. It's something that you have to make an effort to plan, and you have to make an effort and make that commitment to yourself to say, look, this is something that we're going to do. Because if you keep putting stuff like that off, and you're like, oh, maybe one day, like, yeah, it sounds fun. I mean, but realistically, are you really going to do it? If it's something that you really, really want to do, then plan it out. And I'll say you can budget. If it's something that you really, really, really want to do, and there are some things that maybe you'll have to sacrifice at home, maybe you'll have to sacrifice eating out every day. Maybe you'll have to sacrifice, getting that morning coffee every day just to save up a little bit of money just so you can go on a vacation. I think that's important. I know that I'd rather go on vacation than get that cup of coffee every day or eat out to lunch every single day. And so I don't. Like, I make my coffee at home, and we make all of our meals at home. Like, we hardly ever eat out. And then I tell my husband too, like energy drinks, like buying those energy drinks, like the amount of money that we've saved to go on that he'll even say, he'd be like, if I don't buy energy drinks for a whole year, that's almost $1,000. Like, there's a trip right
Shit.
there, So like things like that. Like, those things are expensive. Those little things, sometimes those pleasurable things that we spend money on every day. And yeah, they might give us those many pleasures. But for me personally, I'd much rather, go on a vacation and have those
Yeah.
experiences. I think experiences are so much more meaningful and valuable to your life than than
Items.
those. Yeah.
Can I just say, so I'm on vacation and my cheap ass brought my coffee from home so that way I can make my own coffee
Yeah.
here
I
versus
mean, yeah, we do that too.
like I got my coffee like from my little shop in Swords Creek. I got that right here. And instead of going to then there's a beautiful little coffee spot right here. Instead of going there and paying like probably $6 to $8, I don't know how much it cost. Every morning I'm like, no, I just bring mine with me and just save a few bucks. Like it's just a
Mhm.
few things that can, really add up over time. And like to Jen's point too, a lot of people don't wanna go on vacations, that's fine, but use your PTO, do a staycation.
Yeah.
My annual staycation is my favorite week of the year. I don't do anything. Maybe I get some chores done, but if you don't wanna go somewhere, just take your PTO.
Yeah.
Don't let the company absorb up that free money. Like, just
Right.
don't. Take it. Nobody goes to their deathbed saying, "I wish I would have worked more."
Right.
Nobody. So, take your PTO and freaking use it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care what your boss says. Use it.
It's so much more valuable, and I know a lot of people even will say like, "Oh, they'd rather just cash out their PTO." But again, it's like, come on, like that time away from the clinic is going to be so much more therapeutic for you, and it's going to
Mhm.
be like it's so important to take that time away. Like we are not just work. And you can take as much pride as you want in the work that you do, but if work is all that you do, I guarantee you, you are going to be unhappy. You're gonna get
Yes.
burnt out, and maybe you're not that right now, but eventually you're gonna be like, wow, I'm something's missing. I don't know what. Like, shouldn't I be fulfilled? Like I have a really good career and I'm really good at what I do. Why am I not happy? And it's because it's like, do you have those relationships? Do you have those friendships? Are you having those experiences? Like life is so much more than your job. And that's
Mhm.
another thing that I love about international traveling is seeing how different cultures and different countries really view life. And I will tell you, America is so focused on work and career and jobs and making money. And when you travel like to Europe and things like that, when they ask you, what do you do? And you start telling them about your job, they will interrupt you when they were like, I don't know. I'm not asking. I don't care about your job. Like, we
I
don't,
know.
what? They're like, no, what do you do for fun? Like, what hobbies do you enjoy? Um, where's your favorite place to eat? I mean, they like in Europe, they literally you will be up by 8 or 9 o'clock AM and everyone is still in bed asleep. The coffee shops aren't even open at that point. The coffee shops are still not open. My husband got up at like 6 or 7 AM and he was going to go out and get me coffee in France. And he was like, he came back and he was like, well, there's literally no coffee shops that are open. None of them open until 9.
Damn.
And so then they open at 9 and then they close, I'd say, gosh, what is it? They close from 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and then and then everything is shut down for like 3 or 4 hours. Everyone goes home and they nap. Like
My
they
husband was
eat.
telling me that. Yeah.
Yes, they eat and they nap and they spend time with their family. Like that is the time in the afternoon. Like they all go home to their families and they have really long meals and like I said, they nap and they just like they enjoy each other. And then sometimes some of the shops for the rest of the day, they don't even open back up. And then at night, sometimes like some of the restaurants, they will open up at night.
My husband, because he actually got to go to Europe, that's what he said too, is over there they nap and they do all this. So yeah, experiencing the different cultures is just wild. And here in America, we're like, "Hi, what's your name? Jen? What do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
We're so work focused here. In other countries, it's not. So it is very interesting to see all these different cultures and how they perceive what's more important in life. Us,
Hmm.
it's work, 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 work. And then they're like, nap time. I want nap time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and like I said, traveling and just and talking to different people and just getting to know different cultures and everything is just it has opened my eyes to yeah, like work is fun and I'm glad that we're passionate about what we do, but gosh, it is definitely not the most important thing. I mean, I think even just within the past couple months with how my brain works, like work is definitely low on the totem pole right now. I just there's so many more important things in life.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. And that's the beauty of being your own business owner is work can be at the bottom of the totem pole and it's not you don't have to worry about anything like
Yeah.
except for yourself and your own sanity. And that's at least for me like one of the best parts is, you know, when I was in a clinic, it was we need warm bodies on the floor. I couldn't afford to. And now that I own my own business, I'm and with this trip and I'm staring up and there's a freaking lizard above the wall, like, I've never seen that before, like, as I'm actively talking to you. Um, the interesting thing is I'm having issues still detaching from work a little bit. And I know myself, I'm a little bit of a workaholic. My father was. So unfortunately, I did inherit some of that from him. But I mean, if I'm going to inherit a negative gene, like hell, if that's about that, if that's worse I'm going to get, I'm okay with that. But when I was in a clinic, I couldn't go anywhere. But now as a business owner, like just thinking back in the past 4 years since 2021, I went to VMX 2023, WVC 2025. I went to Florida, Arizona twice, Colorado, Las Vegas, Savannah, New York, 2 weeks in Louisville, Kentucky, and like countless extended weekends into Chicago and Indianapolis to see friends and family, or actually just my family. I don't have any friends in Chicago and Indianapolis, or that's where my family lives. So I've been able to do that to where I can finally take that vacation and I don't have my boss saying, you need to be here. Like I can just pick up and go, but there's still a lot of planning around it. There's still a lot of, for myself at least, I still need to be there for some of my clients. Like today's Monday, and I had a couple of new inquiries on Friday. And okay, sure, I'm not going to answer them over the weekend, but I still want to answer them today because my brain goes, well, Michelle, you know, these people don't know you're on vacation, right? And I don't want them waiting for 9 days for an answer. So I can't totally shut it off.
Yeah.
And I can do an auto reply, but I feel like those are so in person. Like they're
Yeah.
just so automatic. I do have an automated reply, but not one specifically for vacations.
Right.
So when I had a couple people message me on Friday, I messaged him back this morning. I kept it very short and sweet. I was like, yes, we can schedule you for, I think, like December the 10th. However, my onboarding process is a little lengthy. I'm out of the country right now. I'm on vacation. I have limited time. I didn't want to give them too much information because I don't know who I'm talking to, but I just told them I have limited talk time
Right.
and I will get back to you next Monday and I'll finish onboarding you. But for right now, I got you scheduled in and I will resume on Monday. So, like, my business brain was telling me, you still need to work. You still have to answer these because I don't want to miss that business. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to. So, I'm just taking a minimal approach to it and just saying, okay, client, new potential client, I'm gone, but I got you scheduled. We'll hash out the rest of your appointment come this day when I am officially back. So that's how I've
Yeah.
handled like my new inquiries, and that's how I'll continue to handle them. And then most of my clients know I'm gone. I didn't make any announcements, but if my client calls me right now and says, "Hey, Michelle, I'm worried about Fluffy," I'm going to take that call. Um, and just be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Of course, direct them to the nearest emergency clinic. But I'm gonna at least kind of spend a few minutes with my owners, "Hey, I'm on vacation. This is what, I'm thinking," and let them know I'm here, but, send them to where they need to go irregardless. So my brain doesn't totally shut down during vacation mode, but bless my husband's heart because he's really trying to get me to do that. So there's been one time where he went to the bathroom, I snuck off and I texted the client back real fast. So I was like, "No, nope, I'm gonna text her back." Because I want to be there. So I am having trouble detaching a little bit, but I'm getting there. And so there is still some down pits about being a business owner is at least for me in my line of work, I still feel like some emails have to go and get answered. Some messages still have to get a text back. I can't just totally shut it down. And even with this podcast, I told Alex, like, hey, I just need some time one day during I think we have 8 full days down here. One
Mhm.
day, just give me a couple hours. And he was like, okay, if it's important to you, yes. But he was like, other than that, no work. You need to like literally detach it, Michelle. So I actually have more freedom if I was doing this in a vet clinic, I feel like I'd have more freedom to not care about work. This,
Yeah.
I'm still caring about work, and that's the only big issue I feel like is if you're a business owner,
I can see
your
that.
brain's not churning off the way you want it to,
Right.
um, because it's not fair to your clientele and it can hurt your business. So there's a balancing act, but I can afford to go on these vacations now versus I couldn't afford them before, and now I can just pick up and go without having to have my boss trap me in the X-ray room and be like, "No, we changed our mind. You're not going."
Right.
So it's the good and the bad of being a business owner and going on vacation. That's at
Yeah.
least what it is for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
know I was
balance.
telling my friends this weekend. I was like, "Oh my gosh, my co-host is in Costa Rica right now." And I think it's right when you sent me the outline. I was like, "This girl is in Costa Rica. Go on vacation." She just sent me this freaking outline. And I was like, "And she still wants to do the podcast on Monday." And I was like, that is the difference between me and Michelle. I was like, I'm pretty sure that when I told her I was going to New Zealand, she's like, oh my gosh, do you want to do a podcast episode when you're in New Zealand? And I was like, no, because I'm going to be on
Nope.
vacation. I don't do that.
And I'm like,
No,
I'll do it.
I'm
I'm like,
sorry.
I'll do
Like,
it.
no, I am on vacation. I have separated myself from everything, like from all of my duties at home. And I was like, that's the difference between us. And I was like, this girl still wants to do a podcast.
She's
She's on
nuts.
vacation. She's in Costa Rica. And and I remember I just was making a joke about that. And I was like, that is the difference between me and her. When I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation, man. So no, I mean, I agree. I think that you are a workaholic. Is there anything bad with that?
Thanks.
No, not necessarily. But I just know me and how I am now. And I'm like, when I'm on vacation, man. Like, so, but I can definitely see what you mean about the emails. I'm so sure that especially when I um, was traveling, if I got any emails or inquiries, I think what I would do is I would give it at least 24 hours. Like I wouldn't respond right away. I'd still like be like, I'd read the email and I'd be like, okay, like I got this email, but I need to respond at least within 24 hours. And then just let them know, like, like I'm on vacation or, or something like that. That I'll look at my calendar when I'm back home or, something like that. And then usually I think people are always really responsive, especially when you tell them that you're on vacation. They're always like, oh my gosh, like enjoy your vacation, like relax. And then we'll
Yeah.
talk to you when you get back kind of thing. So
Yeah.
no, I can definitely see that as a business owner as opposed to, and I like, yes, I totally agree. I feel like there was a difference between relaxing on vacation when you already know like you have that set job at home, like you can just leave everything and not have to worry. But you can't necessarily do that when you're a business owner because you always got the things running in the back of your mind. So that
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah. And I will say the new client who messaged me on Friday, and I got back with her this morning. She was like, "Absolutely, I'll hear back from you on the 10th." Like she was so
Yeah.
understanding about it, which
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, this makes me want to work with you." The other two people, though, I haven't heard back from them, so I'm kind of like watching to kind of see, like, if you know what I mean, and what.
Hmm.
It just kind of is. I can do it as a gauge. But the one girl, I'm already excited to work with her because she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll see you then. I work from home. Just call me anytime on Monday. We'll get it." And I'm like, "Yes, my type of client." So yeah,
Right.
it's a balancing, but yeah, I am a workaholic. So we're gonna work on that in my next therapy session. And I'll be like, "So my co-host said," I'm like, "Can we
Don't
talk
blame
about this,
me.
please?"
No,
No,
I mean, I
me and her have
understand,
talked
like,
about it
it's
before.
cool, like, the concept was definitely cool, like, let's record, like, like, you're gonna record from Costa Rica, but I was just like,
Yeah,
"Man,
just
that is such a difference between me and her," because I would've been like, no, I'm on vacation, man, like,
yeah,
nope, we'll just get right back to it when I get back from
yeah.
vacation."
But
But that's
my
just
thought
me.
and my thought process, like, well, I want to do it with a beautiful background here. My
Yeah.
clients, my clients VRBO, and then show their vet techs, like, this is, you can do this too.
You're right.
And, you
Exactly.
might get that wonderful client that gives you a beautiful discount. It's like, here, happy birthday, take a vacation. Like,
Yeah,
running your business, you
absolutely.
might meet wonderful people like that. And then, my, Bronson's daycare facility, they gave me a discount too, because it's my birthday. So it's like, the affordability can also come with owning your business too, of like, you're gonna meet people who are like, "Oh, I
Oh,
got a
yeah.
condo down there. You wanna use it? We love you. We've been seeing you for 4 years." So, I mean, there's the back and forthness, but, and I'm wrapping this up as my husband's inside, like, "Michelle, I can see him right now on his laptop. I can see it." I I know he's like, "Are we gonna eat soon? Hi, honey."
Right.
He's staring at me right
He's like,
now.
"Babe, we're on vacation." Yeah, and then you can get off and you can be like, "So Jen said she
I will too.
agrees."
I'm like, "Jen says I'm a workaholic too." And it's funny, I just waved to him too, like through the window. So he's like, You gonna get back here anytime soon." So
Yep, yep, you need to
um
get back to it. Enjoy your vacation.
I will, as I hear these monkeys kill each other and the lizards on the wall and all this other
Yeah,
stuff, because
like
we all know I
Cancun
don't do
and
the
Costa
outdoors.
Rica, there's animals everywhere. I remember when we went to Cancun, we had like peacock like on our balcony, like screaming first thing in the morning, and my husband was so angry. Like he like got out and he was just like, you need to like get off the balcony. Like we were trying to sleep. And it was just like hanging out there, just like screaming. And I was like, babe, you can't do anything. Like they're like
Yeah.
this is their territory. There's animals
Yeah.
everywhere. Cabo was not so much like that. But I know Cancun was like that, and I know Costa Rica is like that as well. So,
Yeah.
well, enjoy the wildlife.
I will. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, hopefully me and Jen gave you some viewpoints of the positives and the negatives of being employed at a clinic while on vacation and the positives and the negatives of owning your own business while you're on vacation. Hopefully this will help inspire other vet techs who are in a clinic to go ahead, use your PTO, even if you do a staycation. Just take some time off for yourself. Don't be a workaholic like me, even though, to be fair, some of it is inherited from my father. God rest his soul. So please take your vacations, take your PTO, use Jen as an example, all the beautiful places and experiences that she has had, and detach yourself, everybody.
All right, you guys. Yes, please take this episode and right after you're done, like plan a trip. Like plan your next trip
Plan your
wherever
trips.
you want to go. Whether it's in the US, whether it's a road trip, whether it's international, like think about where you want to go right now and like make it happen. Like figure it
Yep.
out. It'll be worth it.
Yep.
It's always worth it. I promise you. Always, even if it's scary.
Worth it.
It was so scary for me to go on my first international trip. And I know this one was scary for Michelle, but she did it and she doesn't regret it.
No, not at
All right, you guys. Bye. I'll see you next time.
all.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.